Welcome, fellow Toastmasters and our guests. Thank you for being here. And the mission for the Toastmaster Club is to provide a mutually supportive and positive learning environment in which every individual member has the opportunity to develop oral communication and leadership skills, which in turn fosters self-confidence and personal growth. At this point in time, would you please turn off your phones or anything that makes noise, since I said electronic, right, last time. And if anyone needs to use the restroom, you just go out this door, make a left, and another left, just as the entrance way. This way you'll find it. And now I will turn this over to
John Roberts, who didn't show up.
Got a thought?
I can do it.
Jonathan Dunn.
Okay. 1 minute.
There's a man that's
Teasing.
full of thoughts.
I was just thinking this on the way here. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with actually taking the first step. Please stand for the pledge.
That's right.
Perfect.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ah, yes, and now, from the red corner, our president, Ms. Toni Gittles.
I'm coming. Gail sent me a message, and she's not here, so she's on way. Oh, okay.
Madam President.
Oh, and I need to give my book to somebody. Okay. We're a little disorganized today, I think. All of
A little
us.
short-handed.
No, not me. Okay. Welcome. Welcome to your Toastmasters meeting.
Yay.
We are Central Florida facilitators, and we are called the facilitators for 3 reasons. 1, we were sponsored by the Central Florida chapter of the American Society of Training and Development, which is the premier organization for professional facilitators. 2nd, a good facilitator needs to be a strong communicator and an effective leader. And that's what Toastmasters is all about, communication and leadership. And 3, we hope to facilitate means to make things simple and easy. And we want to make things simple and easy for all of you, and I guess that will happen if you're all prepared. We have a guest this evening. I'm happy to welcome Rolanda. Can you stand up and tell us how you found us and what you're looking for?
Thank you. My name is Rolanda. I work for Ferro Technologies, training our customers on our equipment, so I'm in front of people quite often, but I know that I have room to improve on my communication skills in front of classes without being alone. And I really want to improve my leadership skills so I can grow within the company. That's my main reason for being here. I had a coworker that recommended Toastmasters years ago when I was talking with him about things, and I had never heard of Toastmasters, but I put it off. And then recently something happened that made me start thinking about leadership skills again. And so I decided to check out Toastmasters and reviewed the website and found a bunch of different places that I could go visit. And one of the things it said was to visit all the ones in your area until you find one that meshes with your personality. So that's why I'm here tonight.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I spent a little time with Rolanda, and I was explaining our agenda and how the meeting works. She was in the meeting on Monday, so she's kind of prepared to be with us. I don't know about table topics. You'll have to ask her, but that was a great start to your Toastmaster career. We have a couple of new Toastmaster members. However, they're not here. So this week, so we'll postpone the voting and the induction till they're present. If the secretary could just make a note of that. There's actually 3 members that need to be voted in. business. Except, I have a request of the group. My car is in the shop, and I'm driving a gray Dodge Avenger. So when I go outside and can't find my car, if you could just show me where the gray Dodge Avenger is, I would really appreciate that.
Yes.
Okay, supportive. Ask for anything. All right, well, without further ado, you forgot your introduction. These things happen. I think I know you. Susan has been a member of Toastmasters for
Almost 7
years. She has been a member of several clubs. She has completed many, many speeches, many, many leadership projects, and I think you all know she is, I think, our 3rd or 4th distinguished Toastmaster from this club. So we congratulate you on that and know you're starting over, right? And tonight she will be our Toastmaster, so please welcome Susan Morgan.
Welcome, everybody. I am very honored to be here to be your Toastmaster and guide you through this meeting. And with that, I have to go through and make a few changes. Our vote counter appears to have not arrived, so we may need a backup on that. And Stephen, if when Toni is doing her speech, if you could do the timing for that, and then Charlie will be in place of John Roberts. So you can put
So
Charlie
will
down there.
evaluate Jessica?
Yes.
And who's my evaluator?
Your evaluator is Mayfa, and he's not here.
No, he tried to call you and he called me, he's sick, he can't come.
Oh, great.
Is,
You can do it, yeah, I know you're gonna be up there with me, darling.
Julian,
Yes.
could you be an evaluator?
Sure.
Julian will evaluate Toni's speech.
Oh, you'll have to.
Normally, these things are a lot more organized and together, but as you can tell, sometimes people get sick at the last second, and it's the Toastmaster's job to jump in and make sure that everything still goes smoothly, so hopefully we will. The other order of business on our prepared speeches on Toni Gittle's first speech, instead of 6 to 8 minutes, she wants 7 to 9 minutes. So she will be, that's a change to the agenda. Well, our theme tonight is all about Easter, and so I was trying to come up with a few different things to tell you about Easter. So I also made you these cute little pictures on your agenda because they were so darling I had to do it. The first thing I'm going to do is go through our functionaries and have them explain their roles and what they'll be doing. I'm going to start with our grammarian, who is Mickey D.
As a grammarian, I have chosen the word of the day, which is prerequisite. I will keep track of those who use the word of the day. For clubs with a fine, those who have a chance to speak and do not use the word of the day will be fined 25 cents. Guests and members who are not yet given their icebreaker speech will not be fined. I will also listen for colorful imagery and exceptional user of vocabulary and grammar. At the end of the meeting, I will report on grammar usage and suggest where I see improvements that we make.
Thank you. And our next functionary will be our timer, keeping us on track. Pat Stogner, will you please tell us what you're doing today?
One of the skills of Toastmasters practice is expressing a thought within a specific time. As timer, I am responsible for monitoring time for each speaker, in each meeting segment. That's a good word for grammarian. I will operate the timing signal indicating to each speaker how long he or she has been speaking. for our prepared speeches, to qualify for voting, speakers must not speak less than 30 minutes under the arranged minimum and not more than 30 seconds over the arranged minimum. I will turn on the green light. Okay. I will turn on the green light at 2 minutes, the yellow light at 2.5 minutes, and the red light at 3 minutes.
That's for evaluators.
Oh, so the evaluators know how much time they have. But for table topics. Oh, Toni's got more to add to her speech. Oh my goodness. Okay, guys, I have a little bit of a headache and I'm a little confused. For table topics, did we do that one?
No.
For table topics to qualify, speakers must speak at least 1 minute, no more than 2 minutes 30 seconds. Green light at 1 minute, yellow light at 1.5, and red light at 2 minutes.
And your red light is still on.
Thank you. The green light's on. Oh. I think that I've covered everything.
Yes, thank you,
And
Pat.
does everybody understand? Thank you.
And Mr. Jonathan Dunn, will you please let us know what you will be doing this evening?
Why, Susan, yes, I will. As the Wizard of Oz, it is my job to keep track of audible crutches such as and double clutches, the repetition of a word while the speaker searches for their next thought. I will also note sentences strung together with bridge words like and, or, so, and I will sound a when any of these infractions are heard. The fine for each infraction is 10 cents. Guests and members who have not yet done their icebreaker will not be buzzed or fined, but I will keep track of their infractions.
Well, since it's 15 minutes after the time we were supposed to start, it looks like we are down a vote counter. Stephen, can you be the vote counter? Thank you very much.
You want me describing it?
Yes, please.
For our guests, since everyone else already knows, we will be having a vote for the best speaker, the best table topic speaker, best evaluator, which you're welcome to vote on. And those who qualify for this, they have to hit their time limits in order to qualify. There'll also be a vote at the end of the meeting for most improved, but since you haven't seen any of us before, you probably won't have any particular opinion on that point. Those will be collected as I go around, and also if you fill out any feedback on this form for any of the speakers, I can pick those slips up and hand off to the speakers. Or the general evaluator, topics master, or Toastmaster, if you haven't noticed, have also got slips on here as well, and I can deliver those at some point during the meeting to them. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, everyone, for jumping up and helping me out. So, Easter. Where did it go?
Where's the buzzer?
Okay, I had some papers, and they're not here anymore. Are they there? Yes, that's where they are. Okay. I thought I left them up here. So, an Easter parade. Yes, I get it. It's been a while since I've been the Toastmaster. So, I'm going to tell you a little bit about Easter stuff. So, this one is the Easter Parade and how that came about. In New York City, the Easter Parade tradition dates back to the mid-1800s when upper crust of society would attend Easter services at various Fifth Avenue churches, then stroll outside afterward, showing off their new spring outfits and hats. Average citizens started showing up along Fifth Avenue to check out the action. The tradition reached its peak by the mid-20th century, and in 1948, the popular film Easter Parade was released, starring Fred Astaire and Julie Garland. and featuring the music of Irving Berlin. The title song includes the lyrics, "In your Easter bonnet, with all your frills upon it, you'll be the grandest lady in the Easter parade." The Easter parade tradition lives on in Manhattan on 5th Avenue from 49th Street to 57th Street, being shut down during the day to traffic. Participants often sport elaborately decorated bonnets and hats. The event has no religious significance, but sources note that Easter processions have been part of Christianity since its early days. Today, other cities across America also have their own parades. I thought that was a little bit interesting history there. Now it is my honor to introduce our first speaker. And if you'll take a look, our guest, I think you already have been told, but on our agenda, the prepared speeches have what their objectives are, and we are doing 2 advanced manuals. So these are people who have been doing these speeches for a long time. A roast is one way to honor or recognize a person. Unlike the speech of praise in Project 2, a roast relies on wit, humor, and satire to convey this message. Toni is to collect information about the individual and select areas which have the most promising information and which the audience can relate. Use humorous materials and jokes from other sources as well to include original jokes and stories and events that actually happen. In a roast, the jokes need not to be reality-based. By starting with a kernel of truth, the speaker can then exaggerate or distort it to be effective. It is essential that the material presented not hurt the feelings of the guest of honor. Good taste is a must. The occasion of this roast of Pat Stogner as she approaches the 2nd anniversary of her membership in Central Florida Facilitators. And what a journey it's been. Please welcome our speaker, Toni Giddles, and our honoree, Pat Stogner.
Honor is approaching her 2-year anniversary as a Toastmaster with Central Florida Facilitators. It's my privilege to acknowledge and roast my good friend, Pat Stogner, as she approaches this milestone. A prerequisite for this project was to know the person well, appreciate their accomplishments, and be certain that they could laugh at my jokes. In our club, the officers usually welcome the guests and then talk to them after the meeting. And then we talk about them after they pull out of the driveway. After Pat's visit, the 7 officers gathered, and if I remember clearly, the conversation went something like this. "So what did you think of the guest with the big red hair?" "She didn't seem easily intimidated like some of our guests. I think she'll join. I found out she's from New York and she's a hairdresser. Did you notice the way she kept waving her hands around? She must be Italian, right? I'm not sitting next to her if she comes back. She might inadvertently slap me in the face during table topics." Okay, lots of comments, guys. Let's sum up the situation. What we have is a redhead, Italian hairdresser from New York who wants to be a Toastmaster. Well, it seems obvious to me she's the perfect stereotype. What do you mean, the the officers queried in unison. You know, come on, she has a big personality. Sassy, loud, opinionated, and fearless. I think she may be more than we can handle. Let me put it this way. You know the difference between a redhead and a terrorist, right? You can negotiate with terrorists. And you know how to get a redhead to argue with you? Say something. So we're agreed she might be a handful, but we would take her money, vote her in, and let her loose in the membership. After all, she did want to learn. And speaking of that, you know what they say about New Yorkers. They believe that being able to swear at people in their own language makes them multilingual. Okay, look, at least she's not a ditzy blonde. Toastmasters is definitely the right place for her, I said. Pat became a member the next week. The officers watched and waited. Like most new members, she was very well behaved at the beginning. Initially, she talked a lot about her volunteer activities with the American Cancer Society, and we were all very impressed. Pat was quite pleasant until the vocal, sassy New Yorker part came out. Oh yeah, Pat speaks freely and doesn't sugarcoat anything. For example, in a conversation with her, you remember this, she learned I had been married briefly, had no children, held a master's degree and had spent 9 years in Toastmasters, and was constantly striving to do more and do better. Pat shared with me she'd been married 3 times, had raised 2 daughters as a single mom, and had operated a successful hair salon. She started doing hair as a teenager and felt it was her calling and her bliss. In other words, we had absolutely nothing in common. Then, in her unique style, she waved a pencil in my face, and she said to me, I've been watching you. So you have a master's degree. Big deal. Missy, you're too smart for your own good. You remember that. You expect too much from yourself and from the members. You need to chill. Stop pushing everyone to do better and try to have some fun. Wow, what just happened? She totally nailed me. Besides, she continued, you're no better than me. I'm a PhD. Well, PhD stands for professional hairdresser. What did you think it meant? Pat started laughing, and so did I. This was to be the MO of the lady with the big red hair. She would say what was on her mind, then she would break the tension by making fun of herself or telling a joke. In all honesty, once I got used to Pat's style, about last week sometime, I found her directness very helpful, endearing, and lovingly authentic. You know, it has been said that hairdressers are flashy, trashy, or classy. I say we got the classy version. Don't let her past or her self-deprecating humor fool you. This lady is very smart. Pat is unstoppable when she wants something. And all the negative things that have happened in her life, like meeting her father for the first time when she was 20, finding out she had 6 additional brothers and sisters that she knew nothing about, the marriages, the divorces, well, you were here, you heard the speech. It all served to make her stronger and more determined to live life fully and to be happy, no matter what. That said, you may have noticed, she does have a few buttons. And if you push one of them, you will be on the other end of a raving, redhead, Italian, lunatic. Now, she says she believes in forgiveness for those who have disagreed with her in the past. People should just get over themselves and move on. And if you believe that, ask her sometime how the food part of the banquet turned out in December. So, some things take a little longer to get over. But you know, I can relate. It's incredibly exhausting to be a perfectionist. I know. Pat is a self-confessed ditz. She admits that on occasion she gets confused or forgets something important, like she did right in front of all of you. Her response to the situation usually is, "Oh, are my blonde roots showing?" And then she laughs, gets in action, and fixes the problem. Pat is definitely a woman with huge commitments, and she knows how to produce huge results. You see, Pat is not just any volunteer with the American Cancer Society. In the last 2 decades, she has trained hundreds of other volunteers to deliver the Look Good, Feel Good program in Florida, has personally delivered the program to hundreds of cancer survivors, and often drives hundreds of miles a month to do this. No wonder she received the Volunteer of the Year award in 2012. Her commitment to CFF is also huge and crystal clear. She served as an officer almost from the beginning, absorbing knowledge from us every week, steadily working to complete her Competent Communicator Award. We've recognized her 2 times with the Jessica Guthrie Spirit Award. Remember the bobbing head cheerleader? Well, Pat is the only one ever to be given the bobbing head cheerleader. How this came about was she was an officer and she was on the banquet committee, so she knew she was getting it for the 2nd time. Her comment to me as I headed out the door to order trophies was, "Gee, I got the regular trophy last time. I want that bobbing head cheerleader I saw at the trophy store." It'll be a real conversation piece. Pat, all I can say at this point is I wish the trophy were like 6 feet tall so you could put it on your yard so all the neighbors would know we think you're sassy, loud, outspoken, and fearless, and that's a good thing. And remember, somebody loves you. Madam Toastmaster.
Probably the only one that next to Susan.
Thank you. And Pat, if we could have 1 minute on the clock for comments, and this is the time you can write your comments if you haven't already started doing that.
Oh, Steve,
Somebody stuck it in the voter.
Pat. Also, look at it, Kyle. It's that big hair.
So I'm gonna guess this is about 1 minute. Oh, you didn't have it on here. Well, awesome. It does tend to seem like the longest minute when you're standing here in silence. Our next speaker is working in the interpretive reading manual on Project 3, the monodrama. In a monodrama, the speaker portrays a single character, striving to bring that character to life through voice, gestures, and mannerisms. Jessica will be assuming a character who reveals her innermost thoughts and feelings. This particular interpretive reading assignment differs from many Toastmaster speeches as the material is intended to be read and the speaker will not make eye contact with the audience. You, as listeners, are overhearing something you weren't necessarily meant to hear. Tonight's monodrama is entitled A Stepsister Gets Her Say by Chris Wynn. In this speech, Cinderella's stepsister will be giving her take on the story. Please help me welcome one proud and feminist stepsister, Jessica Guthrie.
Poor little Cinderella. Who more deserving of finding her prince and turning into a princess? Yeah, right. First off, Cinderella did not have to do all the hardest work in the house. Our stepfather was a man of rank. Remember, and my mother, no peasant. We had such fine rooms and beautiful clothes and status enough to be invited to the king's ball. So we certainly had maids and servants to scrub the floors and wash the dishes. Cinderella offered to help with the work, probably because she had nothing else to do. She didn't seem interested in much besides pleasing people. It drove me crazy. And she did not have to sleep in a straw bed in a poor room at the top of the house. Think her father would put up with that? Certainly not. She had a good bedroom just like the rest of us. The story goes that my sister and I were proud. True enough. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with being proud of what you can do, of what you've worked hard to learn well? All those fine clothes people kept talking about were my sister's making. She was into fashion design. And as for me, well, it was known I could ride a horse to win most competitions in the land. So sure, we were proud. But vain? Well, yes, we spent a lot of time in front of that full-length mirror. My sister had to see the effect of her creations. And so I suppose she's as vain as one gets to be in that line of work. And as a favor, especially on days too wet or too cold for the horses to be out, I often modeled her half-finished pieces for her. But that's it. I wasn't even good-looking by contemporary standards. No peaches and cream in my complexion. And it's true Cinderella wasn't invited to the ball, but only because the king thought she was too young. And we certainly didn't snub her like you'd think. We called her into our rooms and asked her for advice on our clothes and to make her feel part of the excitement. She liked that. You know how younger sisters are. She wanted to iron this and mend that. And we even let her do our hair, I remember. But we never called her Cinderwench, or actually even Cinderella. Her nickname was Kinderella, little child, and somehow the K must have gotten switched over to a C. As for what happened at the ball, well, that's true too. She was very beautiful, our new little stepsister. We never denied that. And when beauty and wealth come together, most people start falling over themselves like asses. Those at the ball were no different. To them, appearance is everything. My sister was stunned by Cinderella's gown, and she gawked, it's true. But out of professional interest, not jealousy as most people think. I wasn't jealous either. I just wanted to ride one of those impressive silver stallions she came with. And as for that bit about the yellow dress, the story goes that Cinderella asked my sister if she could borrow it to wear at the next ball. And my sister said, no way. Well, I don't know, that might have happened. I wasn't there. That yellow dress is one of her favorites, one of the first dresses she ever made. But I think if my sister had said no, she would have offered another one instead. But then again, Cinderella's tone can be so sweet and self-effacing sometimes. I can imagine my sister saying no out of sheer irritation and just leaving it at that. The rest of the story, I guess, is pretty much accurate. All three of us went to the second ball. Cinderella forgot about her curfew, lost her slipper on the way out. And there is one thing I want to set straight, though. I did not try on that glass slipper. Quite apart from the fact that I didn't want to marry that prince, wearing high heels. Not only would it make walking difficult, but with the obvious risk of broken glass, cutting, embedding, it would discourage movement altogether. No, thank you. But as I said to Cinderella, if the shoe fits, wear it. And we all will live happily ever after. Madam Toastmaster.
And Pat, if we could have 1 minute of silence again. So I looked up on the internet the history of the Easter bunny, Easter eggs, and the Easter basket. I wanted to know, how did these things come about, because they sure didn't go along with my Christian upbringing of the death and resurrection of Jesus. So I was wondering, and I found out, and I thought you guys would be interested in it. The Easter bunny is a rabbit spirit. Long ago, he was called the Easter hare. Hares and rabbits have frequently multiple births, so they became a symbol of fertility. The custom of the Easter egg hunt began because children believed that hares laid eggs in the grass. The Romans believed that all life comes from an egg. Christians consider eggs to be the seed of life, and so they are symbolic of the resurrection of Jesus Christ. And that's where the Easter bunny came. And Easter eggs. This was an interesting little tidbit that I found. A notation in the household accounts of Edward I of England, who reigned from 1272 to 1307, showed an expenditure of 18 pence for 450 eggs to be gold leaf and colored for Easter gifts. The first book to mention the Easter eggs by name was written 500 years ago, yet a North African tribe that had become Christian much earlier in time had a custom of coloring eggs at Easter as well. Our next section. Oh yes, may I get a timer's report, Pat, please?
Toni Gittles, her roast required 7 to 9 minutes, and her actual time was 4 minutes and 35 seconds. I'm sorry. And Jessica Guthrie, her Cinderella story, which was very brief, almost as good as her roast. She required 4 to 5 minutes, and actual time was 4 minutes and 35 seconds.
Very good. I guess we'll need to votes. The next segment of our meeting is table topics, and they are a lot of fun. Please help me welcome Lynn to do our table topics this evening.
Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and guests, the purpose of table topics is so that we can provide an opportunity to members of the audience to practice impromptu speaking. There's no prerequisite required to participate in table topics. So Rolanda, if you would like to participate, you're more than welcome, but you do not have to. Our word of the day is prerequisite. Please try to remember to use that in your response, your 1 to 2 minute response. For most people, spring is a time of new beginnings, romance, and enjoying the outdoors. Stephen, why do you think spring is considered a time for romance?
Madam Table Topics Master, well, it's not going to be because of anything about humans. It's more likely going to be about the aspect of nature, generally because we see all the green coming back on the deciduous trees and the flowers that are coming out. It's interesting that they tried to tie spring to romance, but in actuality what you find is that there were actually more babies being born in spring, meaning more of them were conceived back in the fall. Seems to be more of the aspect of that since they're carried eternally, protection from the cold makes that a lot more practical. It's only a varied bit over time, but there are definitely more babies that come in springtime, which may be that point of birth as well. But that's not the same thing as romance. So where we tie necessarily springtime to romance, not completely sure, but it's going to have to point out, I'd have to say, to what we see from outside of us. If you happen to notice anything else, I'd love to hear any other tidbits, because that's what I've picked up over the years. Madam Table Topics Master.
Easter and Passover, as well as other religious and cultural holidays, take place in the spring. What is your favorite spring holiday, and how do you celebrate it, Mickey?
The prerequisite for table topic speech is to not have a headache and have had a very bad day. Let's talk about my favorite holiday is Easter, of course, just because you asked about the spring. Otherwise, any other holiday that you have plenty of food is my favorite. I like lamb, I like dyed eggs, and I like the fact that the weather is getting warm and the days are longer and I get to stay outside in the sun. That's it.
Thank you, Mickey. Do you have an Easter tradition, Charlie?
Madam Table Topic Master, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests. Could you repeat the question?
I asked, do you have an Easter tradition?
Yes, we do. I am the child in the family. When we put eggs out for the kids to find, I insist that I participate because I want to be able to place the eggs where they can't find them. Sure, I put a few eggs in one place and a couple others so that a couple of the kids can find them. But we always put money in the eggs, the plastic eggs. So obviously, since I know how much money is in them, which is the heaviest ones, I hide those places that can't reach or they can't find. And when they're all done with their Easter eggs and they're all tired out, I sneak out and get them. But I don't keep them for myself. I wait till they start playing around and they finally get tired and it's almost time to go home. And then I make sure that each child who's there gets an extra little bag with the Easter eggs and their names on them. That way they think the Easter Bunny actually did leave them something. And that's a tradition that we've been doing, my gosh, since my kids were this little. And I still do it with my grandkids. And I probably still do it whatever. Thank you.
Spring is the start of the baseball season. What are your thoughts about baseball, Jonathan?
Madam Table Topics Master, distinguished guests, fellow Toastmasters, what are my thoughts on baseball? Man, where would I even begin? The season is way too long. I feel like there's been 30 games already. The athletes are vastly overpaid. I'm sick and tired of hearing about all the drug use amongst these athletes. So as far as baseball goes, I'm going to be darn glad when it's October and it's over and we will be deep within football season, cheering on a real sport. And I was distracted by the non-appearance of the clock there, Madam Table Topics Master. Well, it's not your fault.
Tell us about your most memorable Easter, Pat.
I have many memorial Easters. I absolutely love all the Chotsky things that people do at the holidays. I love all the Easter eggs and all the, I mean, I spend hours looking for ways to decorate so when my grandkids come over, that it's all fun. I actually requested if the kids wanted to come now because, believe it or not, I know it's hard to believe that my oldest grandchild is 17 years old. The next one is 15. And then we have a 10-year-old. And I asked their mother, do you think they're going to want to come and make the Easter Bunny cake? Because we make an Easter Bunny cake every year. Would you believe they wanted to come? I mean, how great is that to think that you've got these grown-up teenagers that want to come to your house and make Easter Bunny cakes, color the eggs. We've already started. We've done the lollipop things or whatever they're called, the cake on a stick or something like that. And every year, my mom used to hide the eggs too, but she did the real eggs. And many times she'd forget where they were. Of course, eventually we would find them. And I also, quite frankly, really love the reason for the season. Thank you.
Rolanda, would you like to try?
Probably not.
Okay. Let's see. We're going to do another round. Spring fever is when we feel lazy or restless as the weather gets nicer. What do you think the cure for spring fever is, Stephen?
It would seem the cure for spring fever is going to have to go back to find your spring romance. If not that, then I suppose you're going to have to go and find a few of the Easter eggs at Charlie's house so that you can afford the visit to the doctor, at least under the way prices are these days. And then what is it going to be next? If you can't figure that out, you have to find the hare to chase down to figure out where he's keeping the stash. And if you can find the stash, at that point you probably don't need anything anymore because the fever will have broken. And then I think what you can do is, if it's a day like today, just step outside and cool off a little bit. Exactly what spring fever may come to be for a variety of people, I'm not sure. If it's anything like the allergy season that'll kick up in a little while, which is when all the trees and flowers are getting it on and having their romance, the rest of us have to suffer, I suppose, along the way. But I suppose the prerequisite for getting through all of these ills and diseases and whichever else we may have to deal with would just be get yourself into that right frame of mind, focus on something that you want to accomplish, and by the time you get to that point, you can let the rest of it just fall to the wayside and enjoy life with the new spring. Now, you take that.
Tell us what you dislike about spring, Mickey.
Torture night?
Torture night.
Should have signed up to speak.
I like everything that has nothing to do with the cold weather outside. I'm sorry, I moved to Florida for a reason. I keep telling my mother, she just moved in with me, and she's from Romania. And I have another friend from Canada, and I keep telling them, you people bring all that cold from north here in Florida. Come on, live it there. If you want to enjoy some time here, just leave the cold behind. As said, I like sunny days. I love the blue sky. It is wonderful with white clouds. I like to stay in the sun. I like the green vegetation. What I like the most is that here you don't have, the vegetation never dies. There's always something green. There are always green leaves. There's always green grass. Compared with up north where everything is gray and brown and the sky is gray, overcast all the time, and people are upset like me today. And that's what I like about spring.
Do you plan to do any spring cleaning? If so, what do you plan to clean, Pat Stogner?
Well, spring cleaning would not be on my list of things to do. I do like the spring. I don't like the allergies. The one thing that happens all the time is because there's something blooming all the time. So like me, I have that wonderful headache. As far as cleaning goes, I clean out all the time, and my new trick to do this is, if you were going to move, would you take this? You can't even imagine how much Chotsky stuff I've got. The little eggs and the little this, and I save them from year to year. Like, you know, what do they cost, $1? But no, I gotta save them. So my spring cleaning, again, will be to get rid of more Easter paraphernalia or whatever. I know you guys love that word. So for spring cleaning, I would hire someone to come in and do all the blinds, all the drapes, all the corners and around the molding and all of that, which would take a very long time, I'm sure, a whole lot longer than a minute. So that's what I would do. Thank you.
Warm weather means outdoor fun. What is your favorite outdoor activity, Charlie?
Since it is not a prerequisite to be a great speaker to participate in table topics, it is my pleasure to do it a second time. The beach. I love the beach. I haven't been to the beach in 2 years, and I promised myself that if I lose weight and get back in shape, I will be in the beach this summer. So I have the rest of spring to get it going. And that is really my favorite thing to do right now, is get back in shape, walk, exercise, and eat right, so that I can take my wife and kids to the beach and spend some time in the water and relax, and perhaps have a beer, maybe 2. All right, I'll have 3. But I really do enjoy the beach, and I promise really myself and my family that I would certainly take them at least a minimum of 3 times this year. The second thing that I like to do is have barbecues out in my backyard. And to do that, I have to clean my backyard from all the broken branches from this winter and the storm that we just had. So I will put my grandkids to work, and I will pay them to do it, because I don't want to do it. Madam Table Topic Press.
Okay, we have time for one more. Who's going to be the lucky person? Spring means putting away winter clothes. Which winter outfit will you miss, Jonathan?
I'm going to dismiss with the prerequisite pleasantries and simply describe the outfit that I'm going to miss most. And I know that many of you this evening are going to find it hard to believe, except Charlie, as he has gotten to know me very intimately over the last 6 months. But on Friday nights, I have this incredible full-length mink coat that I enjoy wearing. It came from Russia, actually, Moscow, a very mountainous region. I have a matching mink hat, and what I really enjoy doing is throwing on, I can't even believe I'm saying this. It's a Victoria's Secret outfit. She may never come back again, I'm sorry. And I like to go into a movie theater and take off the fur coat and sit there and watch a movie and see if anybody notices. But I'm going to miss that most as the winter winds down because I'll have no reason to wear my full-length mink coat out. Thank you.
Yeah, no more.
Can we have a timer's report, please, Pat?
Stephen Morgan with Romance in the Spring. You qualify for 1 minute. And what you like about the spring sounds like you really like the winter for procreating, so they can be born in the spring. And you went 1 minute and 32 seconds, so you are qualified for both. Mickey D. Mickey D likes long days and food. And you spoke for 58 seconds. Sorry. Your second one was about the spring again and how much you like the warmer weather, and you spoke for 1 minute, 11 seconds, so you qualified for that one. Charlie, with all your Easter traditions, you spoke for 1 minute and 29 seconds, so you qualified. And I can't wait until you lose weight so we can all go to the beach and see you in your new bathing suit. And you spoke for 1 minute and 12 seconds. Jonathan, baseball is just way too long. And actually, I think it's football that's a little long. You spoke for 43 seconds. On your second time with your mink coat, you spoke for 1 minute. So you qualified for that one. And I believe that covers everyone. Oh, mine, Jonathan didn't write the time in. So I qualified.
She did. It was 101.
101.
Okay, now if we will cast our ballot for best table topic speaker. And I will turn the control of the lectern back over to our Toastmaster.
Lynn, a wonderful job of doing that when we have a short meeting and need to fill in some time. That always helps. I have one last little tidbit to share with you, and this is about the Easter basket. As we all know, the season for spring has always been seen as a time of new life and renewal. And in the spring, it was customary to take baskets of early seedlings to the fertility goddess Astor, which sounds like Easter, to increase the chance of a good harvest. According to legends, the fertility goddess carried a basket of eggs. Thus, Easter baskets signify new life, rebirth, and renewal. I thought that was very interesting. There's no prerequisite for turning over control to our next section, which is going to be our general evaluator and our evaluators. Tonight's general evaluator is returning after a short hiatus from attending the weekly meetings. As general evaluator, she will be evaluating the entire meeting to provide feedback on how this spectacular club can be tweaked even more to once again be President's Distinguished Club. Welcome back, Advanced Communicator Gail.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, friends, guests. Boy, you guys don't know how much I've missed you all. I did try a little bit to look up Toastmasters when I was in California visiting my daughter, grandson, and son-in-law, but life got in the way and I did not get there. So I have been out of practice since I was last here, which was a month ago. So buzz me, hit me, tweak me, get me back in line. You guys are my mentors, my coaches. Primarily for the benefit of Rolanda, our guest, my role this evening, which does change every week as your general evaluator, is to give an overall evaluation of our meeting so that we can present a very effective, fun-filled learning experience every week. And it would be helpful to be able to evaluate the whole meeting if the general evaluator was here on time to do just that. But I had an unfortunate phone call on my way over here. A lady that's been in our family for over 30 years passed away this afternoon. So I got that en route here. That was a little upsetting. But in any event, coming to these meetings is always a highlight. You never leave these meetings tired, unenergized, unenthusiastic. You always walk away with a pearl or five. Would you not agree? Yes. With that said, I also work with a team of evaluators that give immediate feedback through their eyes, through their editing filter, on how their respective speaker delivered that particular project. Competent Toastmaster Julian has been a member of the Central Florida Facilitators now for almost 3 years and considers himself a born-again evaluator, having repented from his ruling, slice it and dice it, buzzsaw evaluation style. He has finally seen the prerequisite light. Lots of encouragement from this group. Now he is a more sandwiched evaluator. That is, sandwich encouraging comments surrounded around the gooey constructive comments. Help me born again. Help me welcome born again evaluator Julian Koto.
Hallelujah, sister. Hallelujah. You did a good job. You don't want to know. My only point of reference in a roast is the roast of David Hasselhoff with Liza Lampanelli's foul mouth breaking all the rules of modesty. So watching Toni Gittles' evaluation of Pat is a prerequisite for everybody that wants to know how to do it right. That was a great roast. I enjoyed it. I learned a lot of things that I didn't know about Pat. I knew some of them, but not in the way that Toni expressed it. Toni did a great job in adapting the anecdotes and the jokes about Pat, about her life and Toni's experience with Pat. And her advantage was that Toni and Pat do have a close relationship in Toastmasters, and so they spend a lot of time together. They have developed this, this great, committed love-hate relationship. It's kind of strange, but you know, it works. So who's to say if it's right or wrong? It's funny. Everybody has a good time, and we learned about Pat and some pointed jokes at Pat's wonderful PhD personality. Couple of things that I can suggest to Toni is that the speech, the presentation would have been much better if a lot of the speech would have been internalized. You have great body gestures, you have great vocal variety, but you were not able to develop that because you were so involved in reading the speech that a lot of the emotional connection with the audience didn't take place because you had not internalized the speech. Now, there's nothing wrong with having a written speech, but hopefully you don't have to read it almost verbatim. You know, it's just a point of reference. The jokes and the anecdotes were very well thought out. So it was really a great presentation, and if you would have internalized it more and used the wonderful body gestures that you have and that you know, and be more emotional with it, you would have had a better connection with the audience and probably developed a funnier and more effective speech. So, Madam General Evaluator.
Thanks, Julian. The second evaluator, Charlie Baumelier, strives to improve each evaluation he does because he wants to become a strong and a more effective evaluator. Understand, he says, that each evaluation a speaker receives is like a prerequisite to improve their speeches. Evaluating not Jessica Guthrie, but rather her advanced speech, help me welcome competent communicator Charlie Baumelier.
Madam Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests, especially Cinderella, stepsister. I have to tell you seriously, that was a unique presentation that you gave. I've never heard that type of speech before, but what I really enjoyed about the whole presentation was that you can see as the more that you went, the more excited and the more you got into character. And it was really unique because it's rare that you see a person, especially when they're just sitting here reading, really get into the character, but you managed to do that. Your hands were great, absolutely, with the hair and your gestures with your hands. It was perfect. You did, I'm a little confused in the part where when I read, because it was a prerequisite as an evaluator that I was reading what you were going to talk about, that it said, it's asking, should you have looked at the audience? And you did look at the audience, and you did a good job of it, but it's actually not required, I guess. So in that part, I'm not sure how to evaluate that, other than that you did look at the audience. Your eye contact was good. If I can help in any way, I think at times you spoke a little bit too fast. And if you would have just paused on a couple so that it would have made a little more impact on what you were saying. Especially like with the hair part, it was really neat and unique, but it just lacked that little bit of a pause, and at times you spoke a little faster than you should have, because it was hard to keep up with you at times. Your presentation was excellent. Your preparation was actually very good, because you did have in your mind already the gestures that you were going to use, and your vocal variety was very good also. You did go up and you went down a couple times. Perhaps it could have been a little more, but as a whole, it was really, really well done with your voice. The opening was unique in that you gave us, right away we knew what you were going to talk about, and it was very plainly spoken. And anyone that didn't catch on to that would have never followed through, but it's that you were very, very precise on what you were going to speak about. Your ending was quite good also, as you gave us the impact of the whole scenario that you did. And so I have to tell you that this was one of the best speeches that I've heard you done. Matter of Evaluator.
Thank you, Charlie. Now, Pat, if we could get a timer's report to see how our evaluators did and if they qualify for a vote or not.
Julian Coto's evaluation of Toni Skittles was for 3 minutes and 10 seconds, so he qualifies. And Charlie Barmelier, his evaluation of Jessica Guthrie was 2 minutes and 57 seconds, so he qualifies as well.
Good catch, Pat. And with that, may we have our functionary reports? If we can start with our off-counter, Jonathan Dunn.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. Pat Stogner is in the fine category with a odd and quantity of which was 1. Our president, Toni Giddles, was a big 0. Congratulations. Our Toastmaster, Susan, 2 so's. 2. Mickey Dumestro, 0. Jessica Guthrie, 0. Our Table Topics Master, Lynn Ayers, 0. Mr. Koto, we had 1 up. Stephen Morgan, perfection, and myself that I'm at least aware of, 1 and. Thank you.
Okay.
General Evaluator.
Good for our Toastmasters, but bad on our piggy account. You're fired. All right, how about our supervisor? No, not our supervisor. How about our Marion, Nikki D?
First of all, I have to mention that I'm aware of a lot of and on my part, every time I spoke, so I'm going to put some money in our piggy bank. There are a lot of wonderful phrases and colorful imagery. I cannot pronounce the word. I couldn't keep up with all of them, especially with Gail and Julian. I just enjoyed your speech, and
Let's
I
hear
said,
an amen on that.
yeah, next time, please give me your speech and I'm going to highlight what I like. It is too much to write down. Otherwise, I liked, of course, Toni's speech very much, and I got to write down some stuff, like difference between a red hair and the terrorists. You can negotiate with the terrorists. Swear in their own language makes them bilingual. flashy, trashy, classy, raving red hair. It's incredibly exhausting to be a perfectionist. Somebody loves you. I love that one. Cinderella, and a lot of other stuff, but Cinderella, by the way. Steve, the cure for a spring fever is to go back and find your romance or eggs at Charlie's house. Yeah, I know it was more. Charlie, I will have 3 beers if you insist. Jonathan, darn glad when it's over. Fag. Could you believe they wanted to come? Oh my God! I know. I understand the feeling. Loved the reason for the season. Thank you. And Chatsy, what's that? Chatsy stuff?
Chatsky, it's a nickname.
Oh, okay.
That's my New York
Oh,
bilingual.
and for good,
Yeah, you're Jewish word.
for good imagery, means coat with Victoria's Secret.
Don't say what he said.
Would that hurt our eyeballs?
Halloween, you want to say the
People that use the word of the day: Susan, Toni, Lynn, Stephen, Ivan, Charlie, Jonathan, Gail, Julian, Charlie again. If I missed anyone, please let me know. Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Mickey. How about the evaluation of the meeting this evening?
How about it?
All right, first of all, I'm going to start with me. It's all about me. Besides the fact that I did arrive late, so I came in, I was a little bit disruptive, even though I wasn't trying to be. I couldn't exactly see where my sign was, so I could sit there, so I just sat in the back. But as it turned out, that turned out, I think, to be something for coaching purposes. General Evaluator, our Sergeant at Arms, seats us sort of toward the front so that we have ease of going back and forth, introducing, releasing the lectern, etc. Sitting in the back, I made a lot of extra time to get up here. Not necessary, waste of time. So learn from my mistakes there. I also am confessing, even though Susan knows this, I did ask her if she wanted me to be in touch with the functionaries and to, not reserve, but to confirm our evaluators this evening. She said, no, that's okay, I've been in touch with them. As a general evaluator, I should have gone ahead and said, no, Susan, let me go ahead and help you out. And why is that? Well, the general evaluator and the Toastmaster work hand in hand each meeting to make this timely, to make it fluid. And this evening, though Susan did an outstanding job by doing the housekeeping, making the corrections on the agenda, did you note how much time that took? And if we had had 3 speakers, we would have been really rushed for time. So fortunately for us, we didn't have the 3 speakers. The extra time that you had to take, because I did not fulfill what I was supposed to do as general evaluator, confirm everything, you ended up having to, okay. But in any event, it took extra time from the meeting. So that's in the importance, Toastmasters, to confirm your roles and also to get your introductions in order. One thing that, fortunately, both my evaluators wrote an evaluation, but I like to have the introductions ahead of time. And why is that? One, I can read ahead of time. I can make editorial or grammatical corrections which I did on both of the evaluations, so that it is more smoothly said by me, rather than coming up here looking as if I am unprepared, that I'm just reading it word for word, not making contact with you, because I have not briefed myself. So again, I emphasize, help your Toastmaster, help your general evaluator with those introductions. Makes for a more fluid meeting. Table topics, kudos, kudos, kudos. Lynn, outstanding. You were so cognizant of time, which, as we all know, the Toastmaster, the general evaluator, and the table topic master, we are pretty much the gatekeepers for keeping this meeting on time. You watched the clock, you were going by the agenda, you were prepared with extra bodacious table topics to fill the gap. You also could have, had you been running really late, you could have just shortened it to the 2 or 3. But you saw you had extra time, you came prepared, so kudos. Not to influence our president, but that might be something to consider for the Tim Chastain Award tonight. The last thing that I noted, though I wasn't here, the Pledge of Allegiance. I personally hate seeing our flag hidden back. I really think we need to bring that forward. So our Sergeant at Arms, it's a thought. With that, go ahead and cast your vote for the most improved, and I will bring our president back up here to conclude our meeting. Here he is. You too.
So David is picking up most improved votes, so please do vote for someone. All of you have been here at enough meetings, except our guests, that you know how we're doing, and it's nice to be acknowledged for improvement. At this point, I'd like to ask Rolanda, what did you think of our meeting? Do you have any comments?
Thank you. I don't know what the prerequisite is. I just want to say that I felt that the meeting was extremely well organized, and I loved that about the whole meeting. Very encouraging to know where we are in things and what to expect as an outsider. And the packet that you gave me, I wasn't able to read everything right now, because I wanted to do it, but I also want to consume all this information. The main thing that I was thinking as everyone was going through things is, oh my God, I would so fail at the table topics.
Everybody does that.
I don't even know what the most memorable holiday was. So I know I have a lot of things to work on, but I really appreciate the time that you took with me in the beginning to explain everything and to go over everything with me, so it was very clear. I had no questions, and you all gave great speeches. Thank you for accommodating me.
See, you're already blending in. You're using the word of the day. You're getting the hang of things.
I don't have any foolish.
Well, guests are exempt, so you should know that. We do invite you to return and perhaps bring 2 friends of yours. You know what the meeting looks like. Most of us know people in our life that could really benefit from Toastmaster, so we invite you to bring 2 friends. I don't know about next week. We have a very special meeting next week. And thank you so much. Jessica, do you have her contact information? If you could, this is Jessica, raise your hand. She's our Vice President of Membership, so if you'll let her spend a little time with you before you leave, we would appreciate that, and we'll make sure we contact you and follow up with you as well. And again, thank you for coming, and Yahoo Internet. Lynn, the agenda for April 3rd, Jessica go first. Let's have Jessica go first. We have a very special meeting next week. Some of you may not have been here at all for what we call a backwards meeting. So I've asked Jessica if she would take some time to explain how the roles work. And then if you have questions, you know you've already signed up for a role, you can be specific or you can ask her during the week, or Stephen as well, who knows a lot about this kind of meeting.
Thank you, Madam President. Before I go about who's in what role, and especially for our guest, this is a very confusing meeting for a guest if they come, as you can imagine. And no, we do not ask for guest comments at the beginning of the meeting in this particular case. However, it is basically a backwards meeting, just like it sounds. We do everything, if you look at your agenda, we do everything in reverse. It's just to kind of throw a little spin on things. It's a lot of fun. You have to be creative. So we will start with our president comments and thanking us for coming to the meeting, presenting awards, which is always really fun because you have no idea how that actually really works out. And then we move into the general evaluator's evaluation of the meeting. So they will tell us how we've done. So everybody has to listen, because as she or he, who is general, it's me, as I describe how the meeting has happened, we all want to try to fill that role and see if that happens that way. So if I said we started on time, well, I'll be darned if we don't have to start on time and end on time. And if I say something like, I wish the lectern had been moved forward a bit, we'll make sure it's backwards a little bit, or something like that. So it's just kind of fun to listen and really make it a part of the meeting. Then the functionaries will give their reports, so you'll just make up times. Grammarian will say what the word of the day was and how many people used that, and put a couple of ideas of things that people said in their speeches. So the speakers will try to put those into their speeches or their table topics or whatever they may be. Then we go through the evaluations. Now the evaluations are the most creative part, and we actually do have 2 evaluators signed up, Lynn and Gail. So I think you need to know what you've signed yourself up for. First of all, at all meetings, this is definitely one you want to talk to your speaker with about in advance, so you know what their subject matter is and what they are doing. And you will be giving them some things that they've done well in their speech and some things that perhaps that they could work on in the future. And then the speaker will need to make sure that they incorporate that as they give their speech. So our speakers are Jonathan. So hopefully, Jonathan.
Does it have to do with speech backwards?
No,
If you want to.
I was going to, so should I give it a try?
Yeah.
You really? Oh, really great.
And who's assigned as evaluator, Jonathan?
Well, we only have 1 speaker. Is there anybody else who wants to step up to the challenge of being a speaker? Wow. It's a hard one. Not sure. I know I'm not on there.
I'll be twisting arms, be careful.
Let's see if we get Frank.
For an icebreaker
No,
in that
no,
meeting?
no.
No.
One more experience. Well, we'll come back to that. We'll make sure we match you up correctly. And then the fun part is table topics. So in table topics, the table topics master, who is Julian, will typically say, thank you, we've had a great time at table topics, can we have a table topics vote? And then goes backwards, and how they do it is they say, Pat, that was a very interesting discussion on bunnies. So then Pat has to stand up and give her table topic on bunnies, and then you'll make up the question when she's done. And then you'll do the next one. So you have to give a little clue when you do the table topics of what their topic was, and then you'll go with it. So that's really And the speakers prepare their speeches, the Toastmaster introduces in reverse, and then we open the meeting, and we end the meeting. So it's really fun. It actually sounds a lot harder than it is, and it's really fun. It becomes funny because we're all trying to do the same thing, and it's good when you have a lot of experienced people are in. So as a guest, please come back. You will see a lot of chaos, but it will be really fun. And just glad that's not your first meeting. How does this work?
And if you needed theme, duh, April Fools, have fun.
Yep. April Fool. Very good. April Fools. I like that. Do you want me to read through the rest of the rules?
Yeah, please.
Okay, Sergeant at Arms, Pat. Thought and Pledge, Charlie. So don't forget you'll be doing that at the end of the meeting. Greeter is everyone. Toni, chair. We don't have an educational moment. Do we need one? Do we want one?
If you need
Pat?
it, I
We
can
have
do
the
it.
time
Oh, it's
for
gonna
it.
be backwards, but yeah. If you need it.
Just do it last. Toastmaster is Stephen. We have an opening for a speaker. Jonathan, as I mentioned, is the other speaker. Julian is our table topics master. I will be the general evaluator. Lynn and Gail are our evaluators. We need a timer.
also need a grammarian and a vote counter. Speaker.
I think I'll be.
I'll be a timer.
The one who's, oh, she's not, okay, never mind.
And we need a vote counter.
Me. Or speaker, I think. Running out of, we need a speaker. Project votes. Right, don't freak out. It's real, it's, well, it's supposed to be more. Lynn, do you know who might be here next week? That's not communicated? Okay.
Who do I show unavailable on there? I think it's just Denise.
It's not too many people.
Maybe Denise won't be here that I know of. So we have Patty, I can ask her tomorrow, she'll be here.
I can ask her if you speak.
Yeah, she's too.
No,
I'll figure it out. Okay, so like I said, have fun with it. You have fun with it. It's really fun. Don't be freaked out about it. It's actually kind of fun. You get to be creative, you know, and try something different. Or not.
Is that our thing, April Fool's?
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank
Kind
you.
of thought that was intentional, but okay.
Actually, thank you, Jessica. Actually, there may be a lot of people with blonde roots here next week, so that's okay.
Or not my one.
What, or black roots? There. There are a number of things in Toastmasters that are nerve-wracking. Table topics is one of them. Not really understanding what's going on is another thing. When you're in Toastmasters, it takes time to accommodate to what's going on, to learn and that kind of thing. And we do in this club have mentors. So when you join, you'll be assigned a mentor, or you can choose from the pool of people that said they have time to do that. So that's another way we provide support. I know I missed my first backwards meeting because I was terrified. After that, it was just so funny, we hadn't stopped laughing and nobody really knew what was going on. And I have to say, Susan, you made a comment about a little bit of chaos or people canceling. It's taken me 9 years, but I'm finally comfortable with things not being perfect. So it should be an interesting meeting next week. I will show up. Lynn, you don't have to worry about managing the problem. All right. One announcement. I think I sent an email around about the conference that's coming up. May 17th and 19th, and those of you that weren't here last week, I have some extra flyers for upcoming special meetings and special events. So please get one of those for me. Does someone want to, you got 30 seconds to talk? No, you can't do 30 seconds. Stephen, you want to talk about? All right, go Gail.
Yes, I'm handing out these invitations from the Orlando Conquerors, inviting each and every one of us to their 60th
Their banquet.
anniversary celebration banquet. If you can go, RSVP.
Okay, thank you.
23 seconds.
You did good. Okay, great job. And please review the website, d84toastmasters.org, to get more information about the conference, or just check that email that I sent you reminding you. The early registration ends April 1st. Yep. Okay, so it's important that you look at that. It's very reasonable for several days of educational information. Speeches, the 2 speech contests, will be the finals Friday night and Saturday evening, so you can come for part of it or enjoy all of it. And then I understand the drinking and the partying. A lot of people have fun with that. I don't know much about it. Just
a little minor thing, but I plan to be walking with my DTM, so.
all right, there's a reason to sign up. Okay, fantastic. One more speech. One more speech. Okay, this is a big event when someone gets to their Distinguished Toastmaster Award. It's only taken me 12 years. So it is a big event. All right, I'll be there to celebrate.
That'll be Saturday, right?
All right, let's do the awards. I want to say a special thanks to everybody that showed up tonight, and that you take your role seriously. You did a great job. Everybody participated in the table topics. Good idea to go around, or you can call on some of us that have already spoken. But you did it
Yeah,
it was a great job. I want to, there's 2 awards here that go to one person. And I just want to comment, when you have a headache, it's really hard to come here. When you've had a bad day, it's really hard to show up. When you've had a bad day, it's really hard to be grammarian. And when you have a bad day, it's really hard to do table topics. Most Improved Toastmaster and the Tim Chastain Award. You didn't back down, Mickey. That's a huge contribution. Best table topics goes to Jonathan Dunn. Best Evaluator, Julian Cotto. Welcome, Julian, I have to say. Best Speaker,
Born again.
Jessica Guthrie. See you next week at our backwards meeting. Please sign up for the spring conference. And this 60th anniversary conference is going to be, I think, pretty amazing. Meeting adjourned. Great. Good job.
They'll ask us to get out quickly.
Great job. Good.
That was the second thing.
There you go. You're a
Whatever I said was great.
Good to see you. Take care. See you next week. Bye. Yeah.
Here you go, Charlie. One more. And here's,
Thank you.
oh, I have enough.
Somebody left the book up at the left.
She was proud of me. I shut it off and put it away from me. So that I can be present, not distracted by buffoons such as yourself.
And Pat. Yes, Pat and.
Hey, does anybody owe me some money?
Not me, not this week.
I think they owe me $1.
Well, you have some responding to do.
I should pay $1 every
I saw.
every meeting. At every meeting.